There are always two truths in the forest, the one adults seek and the one only children find. On 2nd May 2025, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan woke up in their home on Garlock Road in Nova Scotia, Canada, played in the kitchen for a while, and then disappeared forever. No screams, no struggle, no traces on the ground, only Lily's pink blanket, torn in two, one piece in a garbage bag near the house, the other hanging from a tree a mile away, as if someone had deliberately left a mark. 6 months later, the police, dogs, drones, and hundreds of volunteers still hadn't found a single bone, shoe, or hair. 80 years earlier, on 4th of November 1945, 5-year-old Elaine Long went out into the Australian bush. It disappeared for 3.5 days. Thousands searched for her and found her alive 50 miles from home, clean, almost unscathed, leaning calmly against a tree and asking, "Where's Mommy?" One child was swallowed up by the forest, leaving her parents with only a torn blanket and eternal silence. Another was led through rain, thorns, and night, as if an invisible hand were guiding her by the elbow and bringing her into the light. 2 stories, 2 continents, 80 years apart. The same chilling question. When a child crosses the invisible line between home and the forest, who decides whether they will return or stay there forever? On the 2nd May 2025, in the small rural community of Lansdowne Station in Pictou County, Nova Scotia, Canada, an event occurred that remains one of the most mysterious and disturbing stories of child disappearances in the country's modern history. 6-year-old Lily Sullivan, born in March 2019, and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan, born on 29th of October 2020, disappeared without a trace from their home on Garlock Road early in the morning. The children lived with their biological mother, Malahi Brooks Murray, their stepfather, Daniel Martell, and their 1-year-old half-sister Meadow, in a rural area surrounded by dense forest, steep slopes, and impenetrable thickets. The day before their disappearance, on 1st May 2025, the family was seen at a Dollarama store in the neighboring town of New Glasgow at 2:25 p.m. Surveillance cameras captured Lily and Jack with their mother, stepfather, and younger sister. This was the last confirmed sighting of the children outside their home. According to Martell's testimony, both children stayed home from school on Thursday, 1st May, because Lily had a cough. They were also absent from school on 30th April due to teacher professional development. On the evening of 1st May, Brooks Murray put the children to bed. She initially told police that this happened at 9:00 p.m., but later changed her statement to 10:00 p.m. She also stated that Martell did not go to bed immediately after her, and that she did not know exactly when he entered the bedroom. On the morning of 2nd May, at 6:15 a.m., Brooks Murray marked the children as absent from school due to illness. Between 8 and 9:40 a.m. on 2nd May, according to Martell and Brooks Murray, they were both in the bedroom with their 1-year-old daughter, Meadow. The couple claimed that Lily went in and out of the bedroom several times and that Jack could be heard in the kitchen. Shortly thereafter, they stopped hearing either child and never saw them again. Brooks Murray said that Martell had placed a wrench on top of the front door the night before. It had not been disturbed, so Martell assumed that the children must have left through the rear sliding door, which usually opened silently. They said they began searching for the children outside, calling their names. Martell's mother, Jenny McKenzie, who lived in a separate building on the same property, reported that she fell asleep around 8:50 a.m. and woke up to her dog barking. She then heard Jack and Lily playing on the swing set and laughing in the backyard before falling back asleep. At 10:01 a.m., Brooks Murray called 911 to report Jack and Lily missing. It was reported that Lily was likely wearing a pink sweater, pink pants, and pink boots, while Jack was wearing blue boots with dinosaurs on them. The police arrived at the scene at 10:27 a.m. At 12:25 p.m. on 2nd May, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police issued a statement informing the public of the disappearance and urging anyone with information to come forward. At that time, police stated their belief that the children had left home and that there was no evidence of abduction. At 4:55 p.m., the police issued an update stating that a vulnerable missing person alert had been issued for Pictou County. At 12:45 p.m. on the 3rd May, Brooks Murray called the police to report that the children's estranged biological father, Cody Sullivan, may have taken the children across the border to New Brunswick. The police response to this call included a visit to Sullivan's home at 2:50 a.m., where he stated that he had not seen Jack or Lily in 3 years. The police later requested video footage from cameras at the Cobequid Pass Toll Plaza, located on the Trans-Canada Highway, en route to New Brunswick. On 3rd of May, police and volunteers numbering at least 100 searched the area around the children's home using ground searches, dogs, drones, and helicopters. The children's mother, Malahia Brooks Murray, told CTV News that she still hopes the children will be found, saying, "We just want them to come home as soon as possible." By 4th of May, the number of people involved in the search had reached 160, according to Royal Canadian Mounted Police Staff Sergeant Curtis McKeon. On 7th of May, police announced that the search for the missing children had been scaled back, with Staff Sergeant McKinnon stating that there had been no confirmed sightings of the children and that it was unlikely they were still alive. One of the few pieces of physical evidence found during the investigation was a pink blanket. On 7th of July 2025, the Royal Mounted Police reported that it was conducting forensic tests on a pink blanket found during a search of heavily wooded areas near the children's home. The police stated at the time that the family had confirmed that the blanket belonged to Lily. Documents released later shed more light on this part of the investigation, reporting that 3 family members found the blanket in a tree on Lansdowne Station Road on 2nd of May, exactly 1 mile from the family home. The photograph was shown to the mother and stepfather, who confirmed that it was Lily's blanket. The police later sent a service dog to the area where the blanket was found, but the animal was unable to pick up the scent of Lily or Jack. On 4th of May, police seized another piece of the blanket after it was found inside a garbage bag at the end of the children's driveway. Police confirmed that both pieces were part of the same blanket. Documents show that the police received hundreds of tips about the case, including one from a witness who reported that on the morning of 2nd May, while traveling with her sons, she saw 2 children walking along the side of the road. Natasha Haywood reported to the Royal Mounted Police on 31st May. She described seeing a young girl holding a young boy's hand. The boy had dirty blonde hair and was wearing shorts, while the girl had dark hair and pigtails and was wearing a t-shirt with blue ties. According to the police, she said the children were walking toward a white woman in her 50s or 60s with loose curls, who was waiting next to the passenger side of an old brown or gold sedan with the rear door open. Documents say that in early June, police met with the witness near the corner of Garlock Road and Lansdowne Station Road, where she mentioned seeing the children walking north toward Westville, Nova Scotia, and that the car appeared to be waiting for them. When she later met with police, Haywood said she thought the girl was about 9 or 10 years old and the boy was 5. Investigators are working to determine whether the children were indeed Jack and Lily. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police conducted at least 4 polygraph tests during the investigation. The first 2 were performed on 12th of May with the children's parents at the Bible Hill Detachment in Nova Scotia. Martella's polygraph indicated that he was telling the truth, as did the test for Brooks Murray, which showed that she was telling the truth when answering specific questions. A comment by an unidentified investigator included at the end of the section on the results of both polygraphs states, "At this time, the investigation into the disappearance of Jack and Lily is not considered to be criminal in nature." On 10th of June, the children's step-grandmother, Jenny McKenzie, underwent a polygraph test. Still, another document notes that her physiology was not suitable for analysis, and no opinion was rendered on the polygraph test. The children's biological father, Cody Sullivan, took a polygraph test on 12th of June 2025 and passed, with his answers deemed truthful. On 11th of June, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police provided an update on the case, stating that their intensive approach to the investigation was continuing. The police agency clarified that the investigation may take longer than they had hoped, and that they are considering all possible scenarios and cooperating with agencies across the country. The agency revealed key details of the ongoing investigation, including that hundreds of hours of video footage of the area surrounding the disappearance site had been collected, that they had formally interviewed 54 people in connection with the investigation, including conducting polygraph tests, and that many of the 488 tips they had received were evaluated. On 18th of May, the renewed search was conducted with 115 volunteers and police personnel. In August 2025, redacted court documents related to the case were released following a request for information filed on behalf of the Globe and Mail, CBC News, and Canadian Press. The documents revealed that as of 16th of July, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police no longer considered the case to be criminal in nature. In November 2025, more than 6 months after their disappearance, the search continues. The volunteer search organization Please Bring Me Home, based in Owen Sound, has joined the search for the missing Sullivan children. Nick Aldridge, co-founder of the organization, called the case of the missing Sullivan children unusual. He said that, seeing how dense the woods are near the Sullivan family's home, he believes the children may be there, despite extensive search efforts. Royal Canadian Mounted Police search dogs have searched a total of more than 25 miles in the area where the children were reported missing. The case has attracted widespread attention across Canada and internationally due to the unusual circumstances surrounding the disappearance. As of October 2025, the Nova Scotia government is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for information deemed to be of investigative value in the search for the missing siblings. None of the tips have yet led to the location of Jack and Lily, and no information has been confirmed by the investigation, the document notes. Despite all the efforts of the police, volunteers, service dogs, helicopters, drones, and expert search teams, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack have never been found. Their disappearance remains one of the most disturbing and mysterious stories in modern Canadian criminology. On 4th of November 1945, a little girl disappeared from her parents' sight in just 15 minutes in the depths of the Australian countryside. At that moment, the locals and visitors to the village had no idea that they were about to witness one of the most significant child search operations in history, which ended in an absolute miracle. Elaine Long, aged 5, found herself at the center of national attention. The story began early in the morning when her parents let her out to play in the yard, only to notice her disappearance 15 minutes later. From the very first hour, the search was organized not according to protocol, but in a way that only happens in small communities. Neighbors dropped what they were doing, and the entire population took to the trail. By noon, not only locals but also farmers from neighboring villages had arrived at the Longs' house, and together they combed the area, but the first day ended without success. The weather did not help. Heavy rain thoroughly washed away the traces of small shoes, which, as trackers later discovered, were the only clue for the search. By evening, the search operation had become large-scale. Australians are a united people, especially when everything happens in a remote village. The search continued throughout the night, with groups of rescuers walking across the wet ground with flashlights, each hoping to hear a child's voice. The lights in the houses were turned off in solidarity with the family, and even city services, upon receiving the news, began preparing equipment and personnel. By dawn on 5th of November, the number of search participants exceeded 300, and 40 horsemen arrived from different areas. Details emerged. Traces were found near the house, likely belonging to the child, but they were so confused on the wet ground that even the native tracker, Alf Ryan, acknowledged the difficulty of the task. The police called in a private plane to survey the area from the air. Still, the landscape proved too complex for quick aerial reconnaissance. The trails led into thickets where any branch could hide anything. The area around Elaine's house shifted westward, where there was thick bush. The tracks ran parallel to the creek bed, but every few feet they disappeared into the wet grass. Locals noted that they had never seen so many people in the area. Even shops and schools closed so that no one would be distracted from the primary task. It was this coming together of people that became the defining feature of the day. Hundreds ate on the go so as not to interrupt the search, bringing food to one another to make the collective effort more efficient. On the third day, authorities from neighboring regions joined the operation. Police, volunteers, and people from towns within a 60-mile radius. The number of participants exceeded 1,000, and new equipment appeared. Loudspeakers mounted on cars and special jeeps for rough terrain, which had never been used in such searches before. Everyone tried to follow the line strictly so as not to miss the child if she was lying in the bushes. As it turned out later, at that moment, Elaine was already far beyond the search area. The girl, without the help of adults, covered a considerable distance in 3.5 days, moving chaotically. Her tracks were found near a stream, then on dry land, and suddenly appeared closer to the road. In some places it was recorded that Elaine walked 1.5 to 2 miles per night, completely disoriented, which was remarkable for a child her age. From 6th of November, the weather improved slightly, and the search teams were finally able to move without rain, marching in a chain through the bushes. At this point, the police tried a new tactic. Everyone moved strictly among the thickets, not missing a single blade of grass. Elaine's trails were so confusing that even experienced trackers had difficulty figuring out the directions. However, by evening, a searcher noticed a small figure in the distance by a tree. This scene was included in all reports and eyewitness accounts. Elaine Long stood leaning against a tree, completely calm despite 3 days without food and constant, heavy physical exertion. She walked up to the rescuer herself, did not cry, but simply asked quietly, "I want my mom." She was found 8 miles from home, near a stream, where trackers could barely make out old footprints. Medics immediately took the child to the clinic. Despite the grueling journey, Elaine was physically unharmed. She had only minor scratches and blisters on her feet, and her clothes were dirty but not seriously damaged. The doctors noted the girl's remarkable calmness and asked her parents not to disturb her with unnecessary questions. Elaine was in a state of mild stress but showed no fear. At that moment, the investigation began. How could a 5-year-old child survive alone for so long, walk 50 miles across rough terrain, and avoid serious injuries or dangerous encounters? Judging by her story and an analysis of her tracks, Elaine drank water from puddles, moved mainly during the day, lay under a tree, or hid in the bushes at night, and never strayed far from water. She heard the voices of searchers several times but was afraid to go towards the sound for fear of getting even more lost. Later, it became known that on the third day, fresh tracks were spotted from an airplane a few miles from the main search area. However, only the ground team happened to be in that location and was able to find the girl herself. This moment revealed the shortcomings of the old search pattern. Even if the direction is chosen correctly, a child walking chaotically can easily exceed the densest search chain, which is why Elaine's case is often cited as a reason to change rescue operation methods. Hospital records showed that the girl did not suffer from severe dehydration, thanks to the rain and her ability to navigate the countryside. She did not suffer from hypothermia, even though nighttime temperatures dropped below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. When she was first given water and food, Elaine eagerly ate bread and milk and asked for ice cream, surprising the hospital staff. Elaine later recalled this episode with a smile. The most difficult moments remained in her memory as a regular walk. The police noted the child's remarkable character traits, endurance, calmness, and the ability to make decisions under stress. According to tracker Alf Ryan, her behavior was unique. Most children, when they find themselves in the forest, become frightened and sit still, but Elaine moved constantly, choosing places to rest that could protect her from the rain and wind. After this incident, Elaine's family became actively involved in educational projects, helping to recommend new approaches to searching for missing children in Australia. Soon, this case was included in reports as an exceptional example of survival. A 5-year-old child traveling 50 miles across rough terrain is recognized as one of the most remarkable cases in history. This story was discussed at the national level, and decades later, it was added to a series of training materials for rescuers. Elaine Long remained under medical supervision for a long time, but no serious injuries were found. 2 weeks later, she was discharged, and her family took her to her grandmother's house to recover from her ordeal. In a photograph taken on the day she returned home, her eyes are wide open in surprise. Doctors noted that this effect often appears after prolonged, stressful situations in missing children. Rescuers and search operation participants were awarded commendations, and the council recommended tracker Alf Ryan for an award for his exceptional work. Locals noted that it was their joint efforts and mutual support during the days of distress that laid the foundation for success. No one remained indifferent or left until the last trace was found. The case of Elaine Long is still controversial, even among experienced anomaly researchers and proponents of paranormal theories. Here is a selection of facts and oddities that have led to hypotheses about unusual interference or unexplained phenomena. The first thing many search experts pointed out was that the 5-year-old girl had walked about 50 miles in 3.5 days, in severe weather and across rough, dangerous terrain, with rain falling most of the time. According to the trackers, her tracks were found in the most unexpected places. Sometimes it seemed that she was zigzagging back and forth, covering many miles in a matter of hours, which seems incredible for a child of that age and physical development. Second, when Elaine was found, it turned out that her body had almost no serious injuries, minor scratches, blisters on her feet, but not a single severe wound or cut from thorny bushes and sharp branches, which are abundant in the Australian bush. The searchers were amazed that even an adult would not have been able to walk the specified route in such a short time, and without serious harm to their health. This detail gave rise to the first wave of theories about protection from above, or paranormal influence, as if someone or something had helped the child. Third, the girl showed virtually no signs of dehydration, even though, according to medical calculations, a 5-year-old child in the field without sufficient water supplies is at risk of irreversible changes after just 48 hours. Doctors suggested that Elaine survived on puddles after rain. Still, even this strategy usually does not save a person from exhaustion on the 4th day. Phenomenal physical endurance, or invisible help, one of the versions that is still being discussed. Police reports record that searchers allegedly saw the girl several times from a distance. Still, when they approached, the traces disappeared. The sound of their voices faded away. This sparked discussion among paranormal enthusiasts, who claimed that the sudden disappearances of the child's tracks or movements were too frequent and illogical for a standard search. Hypotheses continue to appear on the internet. Could Elaine have been the subject of an anomaly zone that affected her perception of space, or could she have encountered a mystical guide? Figures from the archives show that in similar disappearances, ordinary 5-year-old children almost always hide, avoid movement, and rarely stray more than 4 miles from their starting point. Elaine walked more than 8 miles in a straight line through rugged bushland, and her tracks show she covered a total of 50 miles, staying on course and choosing her direction even in poor visibility. There is also a rare legend that for centuries, people in this region have told stories of invisible guides, animals or spirit people who could lead children out of the thicket or prevent them from dying. Elaine's appearance by the tree in a completely calm state, without fear or panic, sparked another wave of discussion. Psychiatrists still cannot explain the extreme stability of such a little girl's nervous system after 3 days of complete isolation, a stressful situation, and the absence of adults. Some paranormal researchers attribute this to the phenomenon of the so-called borderline experience, when a person in a critical situation finds themselves in an altered state of consciousness or psychologically protected. The most striking confirmation of the anomaly is the final medical assessment. The child did not suffer from hypothermia, malnutrition, or severe injuries, even though she was left practically alone in the wild. Officially, all the reasons for her survival were explained away as coincidences: recent rains, luck, and a determination unheard of in an ordinary child. But from the point of view of supporters of anomalous hypotheses, there are clearly events here that have not been fully explained. That is why today the case of Elaine Long is cited not only as a medical and criminal miracle, but also as a topic of discussion in ufological, anomalous, and research communities in Australia and around the world. Many are convinced that this case, like many other invisible phenomena of the Australian bush, will not receive a comprehensive explanation for a long time to come. Two stories, two continents, 8 decades apart. In one, children disappeared forever, leaving behind only silence and strange marks in the forest. In the other, a child went through hell and came out unscathed, as if someone invisible had led her by the hand. One story ends with the forest taking them away. The other ends with the forest letting them go. But both leave the same question that still sends a chill down the spine of anyone who has ever let a child go into the forest. What really happens to children when adults can no longer see them?